Welcome to the Daily Tank, where, once this nano tank is up and running, there will be daily video uploads so that you can watch it grow and develop in real time. So I'd better get started with the setup. Here's the heater, filter, thermometer and light. I also bought an extension cable, but you don't really need to know about that. As this tank is second-hand, there was some dust and general storage debris to be blasted away. It was very dramatic. Also, because I don't know what this tank has been up to in its previous life, I thought I'd better fill it to check for leaks. This was very dramatic too. But it didn't leak. Hallelujah! First into the tank will be this planting substrate from aquascaping and this bogwood type stuff. After rinsing, I treated the wood to a spa experience, where hopefully it would take on water and sink, which it did, after only about an hour. I got myself a nice clean bucket and immediately turned it into a nice dirty bucket by tipping in the humic-derived planting soil. I've never used this type of soil in an aquarium setup before, I usually just stick to gravel. But the texture reminds me of either caviar or mouse poo. You decide. Now the instructions on the packaging do say to rinse away any dust. So I happily set about this, rinsing, draining and repeating for a good quarter of an hour, until it finally dawned on me that I was literally trying to clean soil. So I sat and had a bit of a sulk. Once I'd calmed down, I retrieved my pieces of wood from their watery spa and set about working out what sort of shape I might like them to sit in. Luckily these two did actually wedge together into a pretty nice L shape. But for a bit of extra security, I've used some cotton thread just to bind them together. I know the cotton thread will degrade over time in the water, but I'll probably have decided to change the scape of the tank before that happens anyway. A final rinse and another wipe for the tank before moving it into its final position. Once it was there, I could start spilling the planting substrate on the table. I'm not shaping it into anything too special, just creating a bit of a raised hump in the middle for the driftwood to sit on. I'm trying to keep everything clean and tidy as I go by wiping any stray bits off the glass. Using the folded edge of a piece of kitchen towel is quite a nice way to create a nice neat sharp edge at the front of the tank. Then I could place my L-shaped driftwood sculpture thing in place and spend a happy 10 minutes moving it a millimetre this way and that until I was happy. Filter time! I was quite pleased to see that this little filter came with an attached surface skimmer, but then I decided that space really is at a premium in this tiny tank, so I'm taking it off and I can always add it back on in the future if I want to. I'm tucking it away behind the piece of bogwood in the back corner here. Heater time! I chose this one because it has got a manual dial on the top for the temperature selection rather than being a preset. I've selected 26 degrees C because this tank will eventually hold a Betta fish. I've placed the heater in the back corner next to the filter so that the flow of the water will ensure a good temperature distribution. Plant time is fun time! The first plant I chose is this Amazon sword. Because it's got nice broad leaves, it will give my Betta fish somewhere nice to have a rest. I'm taking the planting basket off and removing the mineral wool, and it had some fairly decent roots underneath. It's going in the back corner to try to hide the filter and the heater, but to be honest I really don't mind looking at them, but I think I'm in a minority there. I asked the shop for a microsorium and they gave me this one. I really wish I'd checked it before I left the shop. It's definitely seen better days, but hopefully I'll be able to trim it up and get it looking a bit better with time. It's going in the back next to the Amazon sword. Buying a plant in one of these pre-packaged off-the-shelf pod type things is a new one on me, but I thought I would give it a go. This is a Cryptocoryne Becketti. I've almost certainly pronounced that wrong, but I've got to say, it looks in pretty decent condition. Here it is out of the packaging. The camera's not showing it up, but it does have some really nice red stems. I'm quite happy with it. When I took the planting medium off, I could see there were some really decent roots. It's going in the front corner to start to try to hide some of my cotton string on that wood. Last for today, but certainly not least because this one is one of my favourites, is this dwarf aquarium lily. I'm not much of a one for cute, but this really is cute, isn't it? It will almost certainly grow too big for this aquarium, but it should be alright for now. This bulb plant really doesn't like to be planted in the substrate, so I'm just kind of making a little indentation for it to rest in. If you plant the bulb too deep, they do love to rot. Moving on from the happy world of planting to the, of course, equally happy world of chemical water treatment. I'm using Sea Chem Prime to dechlorinate the water, following the instructions on the back of the tube. Yet more cleaning of the glass is going on before I start filling the aquarium with water. I'm trickling the water very gently down the wood sculpture thing to try to avoid disturbing the substrate at the bottom. Though remember, the substrate at the bottom of this tank is just pretty much soil, so there is going to be some cloudiness no matter how careful I am. There we have it, one lovely murky mess. I think I'd best get that filter switched on. It's Niagara Falls. I'm going to have to do something about that flow. It's the next morning, which means I'm back to filming in daylight, and I've also just discovered that I need to take the filter apart to alter the flow rate. But look what a difference just one night has made. The water's really starting to clear up nicely already. You can see the dirt on the glass and everything now. Time to try to sort the flow on the filter out. Like I said, this tank is going to have a Betta fish in it and they really don't like much flow at all. Luckily it turned out to be really easy. I just needed to take the main compartment off the filter and flip this little lever towards the minimum position. That's better, and I managed to help it out even more by directing the adjustable flow nozzle towards the back of the tank and the heater, so hopefully the heater will deflect the water rather than it just rushing off into the main body of the tank. I've been really looking forward to adding the light so that I can see what I'm doing. This one is small but apparently has good plant growing capabilities. In fitting it, my biggest problem was trying to thread that cable through my Swiss cheese plant. But once I'd persevered and won that particular battle, it was really easy just to screw the lamp fitting onto the side of the tank. And that's that. Very nice. Now that I can see what I'm doing, I'm giving the glass another clean. But really all I managed to do was to stir the water back up again. I'll try again later. One thing that I really do like about this light is that it folds back, both to blind video viewers and to make maintenance access easier. The heater in the tank has been running overnight, so I'm going to add the thermometer and see if the water has started to come up to temperature yet. I'm a big fan of these stick-on thermometers. They're dirt cheap, they're easy to read, I've never had any reliability issues with them, and I think they look pretty smart too. You can see my water has another couple of degrees to go before it's at temperature. I have one more plant to add today, and it's in another one of these off-the-shelf pick-it-up-and-go little cups. This is Salvinia auriculata, and people either love it or hate it. I think it's really pretty, but it does grow really rapidly. Though I think in a tank my size it's going to be quite easy just to scoop it out and keep it under check, but check back with me and see if I'm still saying that in a few months' time. The idea of these little growing cups is that they are pest and disease free, everything's been growing nice and sterile in the little cup, but it does say on the instructions on the back of the pack to give it a rinse under tap water before plonking it unceremoniously into your tank. The final task of the day is to start dosing my tank with Sea Chem Stability. I've never used this bacterial accelerant before, but I'll be curious to see if it really does live up to its promise that I can introduce safely a fish to the tank within the first week. I'm following the instructions on the back of the pack to carefully dose the tank. That's the initial setup for this little tank done. Over the next few days I'm going to be getting into the exciting world of water parameter testing, and I'm also going to be trying to find out if Sea Chem Stability really does what it says on the tin. Will I be able to add a fish within a week? There's also going to be plenty more planting and scaping going on. I have got a lot of plans for this small tank. This channel is called the Daily Tank because once this tank is completely set up and running with fish, there will be a short video every day so that you can watch the real-time development of the tank, see how it changes, what works and what doesn't, as well as just being able to enjoy a beautiful aquarium. Everything will be covered, from adding more plants, water testing, maintenance and choosing and caring for the fish. I'm really excited to see what happens, and if you are too, then do hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a thing. The Daily Tank, the home of daily tank videos.